You meet her at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. She's arguing with the barista about the difference between a macchiato and whatever sugar milk abomination they just handed her. Her hands are moving like she's conducting an orchestra of rage. You're mesmerized. 3 weeks later, you're engaged. 6 months after that, you're standing at an altar wondering how you got here so fast while her Uncle Sal gives you a look that says he knows where to hide bodies. The wedding isn't a ceremony. It's a military operation disguised as a party. You wanted 50 people maximum. Simple, elegant. Her mother laughed so hard she had to sit down. The guest list balloons to 300. You don't know 200 of them. Apparently, her father's cousin's wife's brother absolutely must be there, or it's a family scandal that'll echo through generations. The wedding planner quits twice. Your bride doesn't notice. She's too busy having heated phone arguments in Italian about whether the centerpieces should have roses or peonies, a debate that somehow escalates into a discussion about her grandmother's honor. The ceremony itself is beautiful, though you're sweating through your tuxedo because her father spent the entire morning telling stories about men who disappointed his daughter. Not threats, technically, just helpful anecdotes about people who mysteriously moved to different states. When you say your vows, her whole family weeps like you're in an opera's final act. Your side of the family looks mildly uncomfortable. Her side looks like they're watching someone get canonized. The reception is where things get real. You assumed there'd be a DJ, some dancing, maybe a few toasts. Wrong. Her uncle's band sets up with actual instruments, not a playlist, a full band. They play for 4 hours straight, and every single song requires choreographed group dancing that everyone except you apparently learned in the womb. You're pulled into circle dances, line dances, and something that involves linking arms and spinning until you're dizzy. Your new wife is in the center of it all, radiant and completely in her element, while you're trying not to trip over your own feet. Dinner isn't served. It's deployed in waves like a culinary invasion. Antipasti appears first, enough food to feed your entire college dorm. You think that's the meal. You're adorable. Next comes pasta, 3 different types, each one prepared by a different aunt who watches you eat with the intensity of a hawk tracking a field mouse. You compliment all 3. This is the correct move. Then the main course arrives. Meat, fish, vegetables, all of it in quantities that violate several laws of physics. You're begging for mercy by course 4. There are 7 courses. Your new mother-in-law keeps refilling your wine glass with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. You realize she's testing your limits. Her daughter married you, but that doesn't mean you've been fully accepted. You need to prove you can hang. You eat until your belt is a tourniquet. You drink until Italian sounds like it's starting to make sense. Around hour 3, her father finally claps you on the shoulder and nods. You've passed some invisible threshold. You're still not sure what you did right, but you'll take the win. The honeymoon is 2 weeks in Italy, specifically the small village her family emigrated from 3 generations ago. You expected romantic Venice canals and Tuscan sunsets. Instead, you're in a town of 800 people where everyone is related to your wife and has opinions about your face. Her great-aunt Philomena takes one look at you and announces you have weak ankles. You don't know what that means. Your wife doesn't translate the rest of the conversation, which is probably for the best. Every single day includes a mandatory lunch at a different relative's house. These lunches start at noon and end around 5. The food is incredible and relentless. You gain 7 pounds in the first week. Her cousins teach you Italian curse words and then laugh when you use them incorrectly in front of a priest. You're learning that her family's idea of affection is merciless teasing delivered with a smile. If they're making fun of you, it means they like you. Probably. You get back home and reality sets in. You're married now. You share an apartment in Queens that's smaller than you'd like, but bigger than you can afford. The first morning, she wakes up and immediately calls her mother. This call lasts 90 minutes. You learn this is a daily occurrence. Every single day, without fail, your wife and her mother talk for at least an hour. Sometimes 2. You ask what they could possibly discuss every day. Your wife looks at you like you've asked why humans need oxygen. The kitchen becomes her domain through a process that resembles a hostile takeover. You used to cook for yourself. Pasta from a box, jar sauce, maybe some frozen chicken. Functional. She watches you prepare this meal exactly once. The look of horror on her face could curdle milk. She physically removes the jar from your hand and throws it away. Not in the trash, in the garbage chute, so you can't retrieve it. She explains that you're never cooking again unless you're willing to learn properly. You agree immediately because you've learned to pick your battles. Sunday dinners at her parents' house are now mandatory, not optional. Mandatory. You tried to skip one because of a work deadline. Her mother called you personally, not your wife, you. She didn't yell. Somehow that was worse. She simply asked if you were feeling well, because only serious illness would prevent family dinner. You went to dinner. The work deadline survived. Her father still doesn't talk much to you, but he's upgraded from suspicious glares to approving grunts. This is progress. He teaches you to make his special tomato sauce on a random Tuesday evening, a recipe that's apparently been passed down for 4 generations. You're touched until you realize he's also telling you that if you mess up his daughter's happiness, he knows people. You're 70% sure he's joking. 70%. The family group chat is a nightmare of notifications. Your phone buzzes constantly with messages in Italian, English, and some unholy hybrid of both. There are at least 40 people in this chat. Someone's always having a crisis, celebrating something, or arguing about whose recipe is better. You mute it once. Your wife unmutes it and explains that ignoring family is not an option, even digitally. You accept your fate. Your friends barely see you anymore. Every weekend is consumed by family events. Birthdays, baptisms, random Sundays where everyone just decides to gather. You try to explain that you had plans. Your wife asks if those plans involve family. They don't. Therefore, they're negotiable. Her logic is airtight and terrifying. But here's what nobody tells you about marrying into an Italian family. You're never actually alone. Even when you want to be, you're not. There's always someone checking in, dropping by, calling to see what you're doing. Your wife's cousin shows up at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday with fresh bread because she was in the neighborhood. You live in Queens, she lives in Staten Island. That's not a neighborhood, that's a pilgrimage. But the bread is still warm, and it's the best thing you've ever tasted, so you shut up about geography. The noise level in your life has permanently increased by about 40 decibels. Silence makes your wife uncomfortable. She fills every quiet moment with conversation, music, or phone calls to relatives. You used to enjoy peaceful mornings with coffee and absolutely nothing else. Now breakfast comes with a full recap of her mother's friend's daughter's wedding drama. You know these people only through secondhand stories, yet you're somehow invested in whether Jessica's fiancé is really good enough for her. Christmas nearly kills you, not metaphorically. You almost actually die from food consumption. Her family celebrates with the Feast of the 7 Fishes, which you learn is not 7 small, elegant portions. It's 7 massive courses of different seafood dishes, each one mandatory. You can't skip anything because Aunt Maria made the calamari specifically remembering you liked it that one time. You never said you liked it. You were just too polite to spit it out. Now you're trapped in a calamari commitment you never agreed to. The arguing starts about 6 months in. Loud, passionate arguments about absolutely nothing important. She's furious that you folded the towels wrong. You didn't know there was a right way to fold towels. There is. She demonstrates with the intensity of a military drill sergeant. You argue back about something equally stupid, probably dishes. The neighbors definitely hear everything. You're mortified. She's completely unfazed. Apparently, this is just how communication works. 10 minutes later, she's laughing and asking what you want for dinner like nothing happened. You're still processing the emotional whiplash. Her grandmother pulls you aside at a family gathering and tells you that loud marriages are happy marriages. Quiet marriages are the ones you worry about. She's been married 56 years. You decide she probably knows something you don't. The meddling is constant and comes from every direction. Her mother has opinions about your career choices. Her aunt has thoughts on when you should buy a house. Her cousin's husband gives you unsolicited advice about investments. Everyone means well. You know they mean well. But you're getting lifestyle advice from people who think leaving the neighborhood is an exotic adventure. You gain 15 pounds in the first year. Impossible not to. Every gathering involves enough food to sustain a small army. Refusing seconds is considered a personal insult to whoever cooked. You learn to pace yourself, to save stomach space strategically, to compliment enthusiastically while eating moderately. It's a delicate social dance with carbohydrates. Then something shifts. You're at another Sunday dinner, your 40th or 50th, you've lost count. Someone makes a joke at your expense about your Irish roots and terrible dancing. Before you can respond, 3 of her cousins jump in to defend you, firing back with their own jokes about the person who started it. You realize they're not defending you out of obligation. You're actually part of this insane circus now. They're busting your chops because you're family. And family means you're fair game, but also protected. Your wife gets sick one winter. Nothing serious, just a bad flu, but she's miserable. You take off work to stay home with her. Within 2 hours, her mother arrives with soup. Then, her aunt brings medicine. Her grandmother shows up with some horrifying traditional remedy that definitely isn't FDA approved. You don't remember calling anyone. Your wife barely has the energy to use her phone. But somehow they all knew, and somehow they all came. You're annoyed at the invasion until you realize your wife is smiling for the first time in 3 days. The baby conversation starts exactly 18 months after the wedding. Not from your wife, from everyone else. Her mother asks weakly. Her aunts drop hints with the subtlety of a brick through a window. Someone's always mentioning how nice it would be to have a little one around. You and your wife aren't ready. You tell them this. They smile and nod, and then ask again the following week like you never spoke. You start speaking Italian without realizing it. Just basic phrases at first, picked up through constant exposure. Then full sentences. Your pronunciation is apparently hilarious because everyone laughs, but they also look oddly proud. Your wife's father starts speaking to you more. Turns out he was just waiting for you to make the effort. Your own family notices you've changed. You're louder, more expressive with your hands, openly affectionate in ways that make your reserved Midwestern parents uncomfortable. Your brother asks if you've joined a cult. You laugh and tell him it's basically the same thing, but with better food. The job offer comes out of nowhere. Seattle. Significant pay increase, major career advancement, everything you thought you wanted. You bring it up carefully over dinner, just you and your wife. She gets quiet. Not angry, just quiet. She asks if it's what you really want. Honestly, you're not sure anymore. You think about Sunday dinners, the constant noise, her grandmother's stories, the way her cousin's kids call you uncle even though you're not technically related yet. You think about being 3,000 miles away from the organized chaos you've somehow become dependent on. You turn down the job. Your wife cries, insists you're making a mistake, that she'd go if it's important to you. You know she would. You also know it would break something essential in her to be that far from everyone. You're surprised to realize it would break something in you too. Her father shakes your hand the next Sunday. Firm grip, direct eye contact. He doesn't say anything, but you understand. You chose family. In his world, that's the only choice that matters. Years later, you'll try to explain your marriage to someone who isn't Italian. They'll ask if you ever get tired of the constant involvement, the noise, the obligations. You'll think about it honestly. Then you'll remember that when your father had his heart attack, your wife's entire family showed up at the hospital. Not just her parents, everyone. They brought food, made phone calls, sat with your mother so she wouldn't be alone. They treated your father like he was already theirs. That's when you finally understand what you married into. It's not just a family. It's a tribe with unconditional backup and mandatory attendance. You didn't marry a woman. You married a dynasty with a standing army and a full culinary division. Your personal space is gone. Your quiet mornings are extinct. Your independence is theoretical. But when life comes for you, and eventually it comes for everyone, you'll have 300 people who show up without being asked. That's not a marriage. That's a fortress made of people who yell too much and feed you until you can't move. You're stuck now. Happily, loudly, permanently stuck.